come up, we're gonna come to a seated position. We're gonna make it nice and easy. So we're gonna start to bend from side to side. So what we want is all that padding underneath the sits bone, so it's super comfortable. Legs go however works for you, and always know that if this is not comfortable doing the seated, you can always do the legs straight out. So we're gonna start going from side to side. So left hand's gonna plant, right hand's gonna go tall, and then we're gonna come back to the breath. So we really wanna dial in the breath before we do anything else. And then as we inhale, we're gonna pull up through the right hand, and exhale, we're slowly gonna tilt to the left. So as soon as you feel the hips start to change, try to push back down so they're equal and even. So now the stretch is just coming from the side all the way up, rather than us using the hips. And if you feel the right elbow start to dip, try to draw it back. It's as if we're stuck between two panes of glass or chocolate, 2 bars of chocolate. Can you tell I'm hungry? I'm hungry. I see chocolate everywhere. Nice. And so taking the left hand, we're going to push down through it. We're going to slowly come up straight, and then we slowly drop off the right hand. So it's a controlled movement all the way down. Nice. And then we just wiggle it out. We do whatever feels good, whatever's calling to you. And then we'll do the other side. So right hand's going to plant, left hand's going to go up. We're going to attach the breath first before we move on. And then once we've got that back, we inhale, reach, and we exhale, gently tilt. And then we keep the breath in. Don't hold it. I was just holding it. Don't hold it. And then when you're ready, pushing down through the right hand, coming up a little more straight, and gently dropping off the left hand. Nice, slow movement. Nice, and then just wiggle it out. Do whatever feels good. And we're gonna do a twist from side to side. It's gonna be small because we're gonna use eagle arms. So hands come out, and then up. Palms are facing down. Left hand's gonna come underneath the right, and so either give yourself a hug. You can do back of the palms together or lace the palms together, totally up to you. I'm gonna give myself a hug. And then as you come back to the breath, we're gonna lift the elbows up a tiny bit. So what'll happen is the shoulders will come up a little bit. So if it feels a little bit too tense, just drop the elbows down. And as we inhale, we get super tall, pushing down through the bum, pulling up through the crown of the head. We close the eyes, and then we slowly exhale, turning to the left. So it'll only be a couple of inches. So it's a small movement. And because the hips are equal and even, it's simply coming from the spinal muscles, and that's what we want. And then once we're here, we're gonna try and settle. So what we really want to do is lock in the breath, keep it nice and gentle. And then as we come back out of it, we're slowly gonna rotate back to center. So it's a mindful, purposeful movement. And then we unfurl the arms. So releasing that constriction, and we just do whatever feels good. And then we find stillness, and then we come right back out. And then right hand, the opposite hand goes underneath. If you can't remember, join the club, because I can't remember either. Nice. So here, we can stay right here. We can lift the elbows up, totally up to you. Pull up through the crown of the head, push down through the seat. Inhale. And exhale, slowly twist to the other side. It's a small, small movement. So you want everything coming from the spine, nothing from the core, really. And then as we release, we slowly come back to center. Release the arms. And just wiggle it out to whatever feels good. Nice. So from here, we're going to start with a wide-legged forward fold. So it's going to be super duper gentle. So legs don't have to go very far apart. If this is uncomfortable, you can do half staff pose. So we're going to take the hands to the side. We're going to push into the hands and lift the bottom up a little bit and replace it. So all that padding is going to stay underneath us. We want that to do that, to be there nice and safe. So from here, it's going to be a gentle fold forward. So we're going to take the hands out in front of us, push down a little bit through the fingers. As we inhale, we come up nice and tall. And as we exhale, we're gently going to walk our hands forward. And just come to that spot where we can feel the tension, we can feel the stretch along the backside, and we're just going to pause here. So we're aiming for tension, but no pain. And then we're just going to come back to the breath. So a lot of times what will happen is we settle here, the body will release. Take a little bit of fascia release. Nice, and then we're going to use the hands to walk ourselves back out of it. Nice. And then just wiggle the legs out, do whatever. And then we're going to roll over and come into all fours. So, always the option, shoelace side down. You can tuck the toes under if you want. Shoulders are in line with the palm, with the back, the bottom of the palms. Gaze stays downward. So you can try this. If you tilt your head, up, a lot of times there's a little bit of tension that gets created in the neck, so we want the gaze to be downward. And we're going to start with cat-cow. So for cow pose, we're going to drop the belly. The heart's going to drop a little bit. We're going to inhale. Chest is going to come up. Gaze comes up. And then slowly come into cat pose. So cat pose, we're going to drop the head off. Crown of the head goes toward the mat. Gaze is going to go either to the knees or behind us. And if you can get that sensation of the shoulders kind of dropping off, and then take your breath wherever you want and just go back and forth. Maybe you want to stay in cat pose. Maybe you want to match breath to movement. Whatever's calling to you. Nice, and then we're going to come back to a little bit of stillness, and we're going to do something where we're kind of kicking the ceiling. So I'll show you what I mean. We're going to shift the weight a little bit to the left side. Right leg's going to come up, and so now it looks like I'm walking on the ceiling, and we're going to do 5 little mini pulses. So we're going to drive the heel toward the sky, and it may only be half an inch. We're just going to do it 5 times. And then when you're done, we're just going to lower it back down, come back to all fours, and we're going to take really wide hip circles. So go 5 in one direction, go all the way around in a circle. So the pressure will come in and out of the palms, a little bit more toward the feet as we rotate around. And just 3 to 5 in one direction, then reverse it out and go in the other direction. Nice, then we're going to come back to all fours. Whenever you're ready, take your time. Come back to the breath. And then we're going to shift the weight to the right side. Left foot's going to come up like we're walking on the ceiling. And then we're going to prep. And then little tiny heel raises. It's a small movement. Nice, and then we're gently going to lower it back down. And from here, we're just going to head to our child's pose. So either knees together, bum comes toward heels, or big toes to touch, and knees come out, your choice. And then third eye comes down, and we just take a moment here. And then if you're ready, we're just going to glide right back to all fours. And from here, because we're putting a lot of pressure on the wrists, we're going to do a little bit of wrist work. So fingers are going to come back around. So fingers are facing each other. And we're just coming into all fours, slightly different. So fingers are together. An option is to bend the elbows a tiny bit or to straighten. So again, we're looking for tension but no pain. Nice, and then we're gonna flip it out. So now the heels are facing each other, fingers are facing out. And here I wouldn't really bend the elbow. It's a little bit more uncomfortable and almost impossible. Nice, and then we're gonna sit back on our hands. We're gonna come into lightning bolt. So we're just gonna take a comfortable seat. We're gonna take our hands together as if we're fist bumping, and we're just gonna take them together like this. Nice. So fist bump, yeah, there you go. And then Susan, can you lower your fist? There you go. And Nancy, can you, yeah, and then the elbows will come up a little bit more in line. There you go. Nice, and then we're just gonna let it go. Drop it off. And we're gonna do thread the needle. So we're gonna come back to all fours. So shifting the weight a tiny bit to the left side. Right hand goes skyward like you're all waving at me. And then we're just gonna thread it underneath the left hand. Right cheek comes to the mat, gaze goes left. And so the left hand that's planted, you can either walk it out, you can leave it right there, or you can take a little mini bind. Totally up to you. And just know if you take the bind, it puts a little more pressure on the head. So if that's uncomfortable, just use the left hand to kind of take some of the weight off of the head and the neck. And then come back to the breath. So we're going to aim to stay for about 3 complete deep cycles of breath as we're threading our needle. Nice, and then if you've moved it, left hand comes back underneath near the shoulder. Right hand goes skyward and really, really reach. So we really want to take that hand and just reach it as high up as possible. And then gently come back to all fours. And then we'll do the other side. So the weight's going to shift to the right side. Left hand's going to go skyward. And then we're slowly going to thread it back underneath. Left cheek comes to the mat, gaze goes right. Rona loses the mic on the ground. And then the right hand can stay here, can walk it out, or you can take the bind, or anything in between. And then come back to the breath. Sorry, that was me. And then we're slowly going to unthread. So pushing down through the left hand. Right hand comes up. We wave. And then we come back. So if you heard that piercing noise, I think I was laying on the mic wrong. Sorry about that. And then coming back to all fours. So from all fours, we're going to slowly make our way into downward facing dog. So now the toes come underneath, so we're going to use those to take up a lot of the energy and a lot of the push. As we inhale, a little more pressure comes into the palms, a little lightening of the load on the knees, and as we exhale, the hips come up, and then we gently roll back. So heels do not have to reach the mat, we're just coming to our point, and we're staying there. So options are to walk it out, or to do nothing, just hold in silence and just stay right here, or hold your movement. Nice. So from here, we're going to look forward. We're going to take a deep inhale, and we're slowly going to walk the feet toward the hands until little to no weight is in the hands. And then we're going to bend the knees and come into ragdoll pose. So belly comes to thighs, head, the crown of the head goes toward the mat, grabbing opposite elbows, and we're just going to hang out here. Nice. So from here, we're going to release the hands, and we're slowly going to make our way into the Dadasana. So we want to push down through the feet, soften the knees, and inhale, slowly, slowly come up. And hands head toward the sky, and then we slowly lower them back down. Nice. And we're going to do a couple of Surya Namaskar A's, and then we'll move on to Warrior Series, and then balancing. So inhale back to mountain pose, and exhale forward fold. Hands come through heart center, so everything softens as a slow descent all the way down. And then we release the hands, the head hangs out, belly can rest on the thighs. And then as we move on, hands come out in front of us. We shift the weight forward, inhale, halfway lift. So pretend like your biceps are window panes and your heart is coming through the window panes. Gaze is gonna shift out in front of you or down below, wherever there's the least amount of tension on the neck. And then we come back to the breath. Now here we're gonna take a deep, purposeful inhale. And as we exhale, we come back to that forward fold, releasing any tension. And as we head back up, deep inhale, mountain pose, slow ascent to the mountain. Nice. Exhale the hands to heart center. Nice. And so from here, just release the hands, wiggle it out, do whatever. And then we're going to take a wider stance. So about one leg's distance apart. From here, we're going to move into the warrior series. So toes are facing forward. I guess for both of you, they're actually facing toward me, so that's groovy. So we're going to push down through the left heel, raise the toes up, and rotate them out. So right toes are still facing forward, left toes are facing out to the side, hips are starting to open up. Now we're going to slowly go into warrior two. So it may take a little bit of manipulation. So personally, I have to walk out my left foot, and then I bend it and come into it. So we're coming into Virabhadrasana 2, but from the waist down. So we're going to concentrate there first and just find the comfortable stance. Nice. So you can take your hands to your hips, and we're going to lock in the breath before we move on to the full posture. So if you want to take a peek over your left knee, try to see if you can see at least two toes. And if the toes are going in a different direction than the knees, which doesn't happen very often, try to get them a little bit more in line. It doesn't matter if the knee is slightly over the ankle. And then hands come out fully into Virabhadrasana 2 as the gaze goes out over the left fingers. And then we're going to stay here and hold it, but we're going to lock in the breath. Nice. So as we're heading to reverse warrior, we're going to drop off the right hand. So little to no weight on this back hand. Palm goes skyward, reaching toward the sun. Inhale, reach up. And then the exhale, we slowly tilt. So it's always upward first, or not always, but mostly upward first, and then we tilt. And then we breathe. So we're slowly going to make our way into Vira 2. So we're going to push down through the feet, slowly come back out, and then both palms will face toward the ground. And it's as if somebody's pulling us in either direction. And then we lock back in the breath. Nice. So as we slowly head into extended side angle, we're going to hinge. So the left hip's going to drop off. Left elbow is going to come to the left knee, right hand goes skyward. So if this is a little bit too much, this full extension, hand can come to the hip, can come behind. And then if you want to add on to this, you can start to take a little bit of pressure off of the elbow so the core has to pick up the slack. And then from there, all bets are off, because that's really a lot. And then find a place you can look at where there's no tension on the neck. And then as we get ready to head back to Vira 2, we're going to push down through the feet. All that energy is going to come up. Hands are going to come back out. All the energy and the breath go over the left fingers. Nice. And then hands come to the hips. Push down through the left heel, lift the toes up, and drag them back around. So now the toes are facing forward. And we're going to soften the knees a little bit. We're going to do a forward fold before we do the other side, but just soften the knees, maybe swinging the hips back and forth. Nice. So choose your stance, because we're gonna fold from the hips. So the legs have to be very solid. So if you wanna go wider or shorter, find what works for you. You can take the thumb to the back where the SI joint is, framing it, and then the 4 fingers across the hip bone. So we're doing this to keep this nice and steady so that we're hinging strictly from the hips. So as we inhale, we come up a little bit through the heart space, and as we exhale, we're gonna push our feet into the mat and slowly fold forward. So we're gonna get engagement on the front part of the ribs, front part of the abs, the back part of the abs, and the legs will be like, yeah, I'm here too. And then we're slowly gonna fold forward. And then we get to that point where we just release the hands down, and then we soften the knees, and then we allow the head to hang down. So it's just a wide-legged forward fold. And then when you're ready to come out of it, walk back onto the fingers, come back to the really firm feet plant, and maybe straighten the knees, and then we're gonna take the hands back to the hips and slowly come out of it. So as we come out of it, we're gonna push a lot down probably through your heels, and then the weight will shift over the entire foot. Nice. And then we're just gonna wiggle it out. So maybe hip circles. This is where I don't want anybody to walk by the window as I'm doing stuff like this, because all you can see is like the bottom half, because there's blinds. So I'm sure it looks a little weird when people walk by. I'm like, what are they doing? Nice. So we're gonna do the other side. So I'm gonna find that really comfortable stance, lift up the left toes, rotate them out, and then slowly make our way into the lower half of Virabhadrasana 2. So find what works for us. And then as we look at the bented knee, we're gonna go ahead and check and see where are the toes at. Are they left, right? Are they pretty much dead center and we feel nice and solid? And then inhale, full Virabhadrasana. So hands come out, gaze goes out over the right fingers. And we come back to the breath. Nice. And so as we move into extended reverse warrior, dropping off the left hand, little to no pressure. Right palm goes skyward. Inhale, reach for the sun, and then exhale, gently tilt. And then we come back to the breath. And then we're slowly going to push back into Virabhadrasana 2. So all that energy is to come back down through the feet. Hands come back out as if somebody's pulling us in either direction. Really locking it in. And then we're going to head into extended side angle. So right hand's going to reach. Right hand's gonna come down, elbow across the right knee. Left hand goes skyward, or any variation in between. And then we're gonna pause here, and then if you wanna add on, you can lighten the load on the elbow. So as we come out of it, we're going to push down through the feet, push ourselves slowly back up into Virabhadrasana 2. Nice. And then we're going to stay, because it's yoga. And then hands slowly drift back to the hips. We're going to push down through the right heel, rotate the toes back around. And then we're just gonna heel toe back together. Okay, mine makes a horrible noise when I do that. And then just walk it out. So we're gonna do a bunch of variations on chair. So the options are always that you can have your big toes together, little sliver of sunlight. If that doesn't feel steady, widen the distance between the feet. And if you have something that you can stick in between your knees, that will help. And you always know you can start at one, move to the other one, or go back and forth until you find what works best for your body. So for chair pose, we're going to reach for that imaginary chair that nobody ever gets to. So inhale, Utkatasana. Hands come out or up. So if there's any shoulders, hands come out, or you give yourself a hug. So if you have any shoulder issues, not if you have shoulders. And then we're reaching for that chair. So maybe we lower down, butt goes a little bit back. And then we breathe. So we have to find a spot we can focus on. And what will happen a lot of times is the inner thighs will come together, the knees will push together. Nice. Inhale. And then as we exhale, we're going to draw the wings back. So the palms will face toward the ground. Pinkies come a little bit closer to the bum, and the shoulders are going to hug the spine, and the heart will lift. Chair with airplane arms. And then we breathe. Slowly inhale back to chair pose. Stay for a couple of rounds of breath. And then deep, purposeful inhale here. And then exhale, fold forward, lighten the load, release any tension. Nice, and we're slowly going to push back up to mountain pose. Inhale, slow ascent. Gently drawing the hands to heart center as we exhale. Pausing here. And then we're going to do that again, but we're going to add on a little bit. So, inhale, chair pose, Utkatasana, reaching for the chair. Steady the breath. Deep, purposeful inhale here. And then exhale, chair with airplane arms, drawing the wings back, hugging the spine. And then finding a spot you can focus on. And then slowly inhale back to chair pose. And here's where we're going to add on. So coming back to the breath. Deep, purposeful inhale. And as we exhale, wings come back, and we're going to come up onto the toes for drinking bird. So any wobbling that happens, that's your body working. And always know if you come out of it, you can just come right back in. Inhale back to chair pose. So now the pressure comes back to the heels, full contact with the feet. Breath comes back. Inhale. And exhale, slow fold forward. And from here, we're just going to come down to all fours. And from here, we're going to glide back to child's pose of our choice. This time, the hands are going to come out in front of us so we can create a nice stretch. So fingers are reaching, they're slowly crawling away as the bum is slowly heading toward the back. We find that spot where we're comfortable. And we come back to really easy breath. And then when you're ready, we're just going to gently come back to all fours. Locking back in the breath. And then we're going to turn the toes back under. Deep inhale here. And exhale, downward facing dog. So hips are coming up and back. And then maybe walk it out. Bending one knee at a time, bending both. Just generally playing around and having fun. And then from here, we're going to walk the hands back toward the feet, going the opposite direction. So now the feet will have full contact. We're going to soften the knees and let the belly hang out, coming back into that very soft forward fold. And then as we move on, we're going to really push down through the feet. Inhale, mountain pose, rising slowly. And then exhale the hands to heart center. Nice. So from here, we're going to work on balance a little bit more. We're going to do variations of Dadasana. So We want to find where we're still really comfortable. So for this, you can do the feet a little bit wider apart. What we don't want is wider than the hips distance because we're going to be shifting the weight back and forth, and we want to keep that a nice subtle movement. So really root it down. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. Now here, just lock in the breath nice and easy. And we're gonna choose a rooted leg. So right leg's gonna be the rooted leg. That's gonna be solidly pushed into the ground. Coming back to the breath, we're gonna inhale, one-legged mountain pose. So using the root, the other leg comes up. So only come up as far as works for you. And then we pause. So we find that spot we can focus on. And just know there's a breeze everywhere, so all the swing is good. Nice, and then we're slowly gonna exhale everything back to the ground, hands come back to heart center, and we just march it out. Do whatever feels good, release the tension, and then we get to do that on the other side. So coming back to really rooted, the other leg's gonna be the root, but we're gonna start with inhale, mountain pose. And this time we're really gonna reach through the fingers, really push down to the feet, create as much length as possible. Keeping the breath nice and easy, purposeful breath. And then deep exhale, hands come back to heart center. Now coming back, now the other leg's gonna be the root. Inhale, one-legged mountain pose. Opposite leg comes up. And then we find the drishti. Bring in the breath. And we try to pause. And then we slowly lower it down, releasing. And walking it out. So we're going to add on to that. So the option is to do exactly that, or at the end we'll do figure 4. And so those are options. I feel like maybe I'm screwing this up. Yep, that was me. Okay, sorry about that. So coming back to really rooted, you don't have to do figure 4. You can do one-legged Tadasana. Inhale, mountain pose. So we'll just do regular Tadasana. And this time maybe we look at our thumbs. Little mini back bend. And take a couple of rounds of breath here. So we're pulling through the fingers, we're pushing down through the feet. Deep, purposeful inhale. And exhale, hands come back to heart center. Now pick the rooted leg. Inhale, one-legged mountain pose. And we want to be a little bit steady here before we move on. So take a couple of breaths. And then if you're ready, the outside of the bent knee, the outside of that ankle comes across. And we open up the hips, or you can skip it all together. Always the option to hold on to something. Nice. And now here comes the big power move. So we're gonna come right back to one-legged Tadasana. And then we're gonna lower down, release, breathe, walk it out. And then we'll do the other side. So coming back, really root it down. Inhale, mountain pose. Maybe we gaze at the thumb. Couple of rounds of breath here as we really reach and really push. Purposeful inhale. Exhale, hands come back to heart center, nice and slow. Find the root, the other leg. Inhale, one-legged mountain. Try to find a little bit of steadiness. And then always the option to move on. Outside of the ankle comes across. Open the hips up or skip it all together. Nice, Susan. Okay, we can all grow branches too. Nice. Nancy, sorry. And then I called her name, I messed her up, I'm sorry. And then we come back to the big power move. So we're gonna inhale back to one-legged Tadasana. And then we slowly release. Nice, walk it out. Do anything that you want here, anything that they're calling to you, whether it's wider stance, whatever. I'm not looking, I won't look. Nice. Okay, so from here, we're gonna come back down to the ground. We're gonna do some lower, back work. So inhale back to mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. So slow, gradual descent all the way down. Nice. So from here, hands are going to come down to the ground in front of us. We're gonna bend the knees, come onto the toes like we did in Drinking Bird, and we're coming into crouch and curl. And so it looks like this from the side. So I'm up on the toes, belly's resting on the thighs, hands are out in front of me, so they're kind of supporting me here. And then here comes the fun part. We release the hands, and we just hit the ground. It was either that or chaturanga, and I hate chaturanga. Nice. So from here, we're gonna switch over. We're gonna come to our belly. Hands are gonna come to the shoulders, palms are down, so now the elbows are gonna come up. Legs come together, shoelace side down like we have a unicorn horn. And before we move on, try pushing down through the shoelace side, see if the kneecaps come up at all. Gaze is down in front of us. And as we inhale, we're gonna come up. So we're lifting with the heart. Gaze is gonna stay down, little to no pressure in the palms, coming into cobra. And here we're gonna stay for 3 breaths. And just know each inhale you may come up a little bit. Each exhale you may get a little bit of lowering, and that's fine. And then when you're ready, take that last inhale, very purposeful. Try to come up a tiny bit more. And then we're slowly gonna lower down. Left cheek on the mat, gaze goes right. And the heels are gonna open up and release the lower back. Hands come to the side, and we just melt. And then we're slowly gonna come back up. We're gonna set ourselves back up to do that again. Coming back to the unicorn horn, so shoelace side goes down. Third eye's on the mat. Elbows are headed toward the sky. Little to no pressure in the fingers. Inhale, cobra pose. Gaze stays down. Try to keep the breath nice and soft. And when you're ready, take a purposeful inhale. Try to come up a tiny bit more. And then as we exhale, right cheek goes to the mat, gaze goes left. Release the arms, release the heels, and just take a moment. And then we're gently going to come back to center. And we're going to go into Sphinx Pose. So for Sphinx, we want the forearms. So the shoulders are over the elbows. The forearm and the fingers are all the way down into the mat, just like a Sphinx. We're going to come back to the unicorn horn. So we're going to push down through the shoelace side. And maybe the knees lift up, maybe they don't. And as we push up, the gaze is going to go out in front of us. And we're going to find a spot we can focus on. And we're just going to continue to breathe. So if this becomes hard on your shoulders, try to push down through the hands and through the palms a little bit more rather than allowing the chest to sink. And if you want a little more, you can come into seal pose where you put the hands down and push. Totally up to you. Just be gentle with the back. And then when you're ready to exit out, we're just going to take that really purposeful inhale. And on the exhale, we're just going to melt down. So you can take your hands underneath your forehead and create a little pillow, or you can do left cheek or right cheek on the mat. And if you want, draw the feet up and just windshield wiper back and forth. So this time we're rocking on the front half of the pelvis and the thighs. Nice, and then we're just gonna slowly come back into a seated position. And because we did 3 back bends, we're going to do a forward fold. So we're gonna come back into the forward fold. And you have the option, you can do wide-legged or legs come together. Hands come out to the side, and we're gonna push, draw the bottom up and set it back down, keeping all that padding in place. And then if you can, just take a moment, flex the toes back toward your heart and create a little deeper stretch. And then just release. And then from here, hands are going to come out in front of us, and we're going to use the hands to walk. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to pivot from the hips, folding in from the hips like we're a laptop. So hands are in front of us, and we're just gonna gently walk them out. And so what you may notice is that the toes may come in a little bit as the inner thighs rotate in as we fold forward. Then we're gonna come to that spot where there's tension but no pain, and we're just gonna hang out. And we're just gonna come back to that breath that we really started with. So nice, gentle inhales, nice, gentle exhales. And then if your body has settled, see if it'll go a little bit deeper into the forward fold. Nice. And then we're just going to gently push into the palms and slowly walk ourselves back with a straight back. Nice. Now shoulders are stacked over hips. And then we're just going to release the knees, wiggle it out, do whatever you want. And then we're just going to swing the legs around and ever so slowly make our descent to the ground. Nice. So from here, we're going to walk the left foot in toward the bum, kind of like where we started earlier. Right leg's going to go up. And we're going to come into figure 4, but it's going to be modified pigeon. So the right knee is going to bend. The outside of the right ankle is going to come across the left knee. And then we're going to flex the toes back toward the heart, closer to the bent knee. And this is a modified pigeon pose. So we're going to hang out here. If this doesn't seem enough for you, you can take the left heel and walk it in toward the bum a little bit. And then we just want to let the body settle. So we're using gravity, we're using the warmth we've created to loosen the fascia so that we're able to deepen the stretch without a lot of effort on our part. Nice. And then here, pushing down through the left foot, right leg's going to go back toward the sky. We're going to flex the toes back toward our heart, and we're slowly going to lower the right leg down. So sometimes pushing through that left foot, that'll help. And then when it gets to the ground, just draw it in. So now both heels are toward the bum, and we're going to send the left leg long, pushing down through the right heel. Left leg is going to come up. We're going to flex it back toward the heart. And we're going to come back to steady breath. And then when you're ready, we're going to bend the left knee. Outside of the left ankle is going to come across the right knee. We're going to flex the toes back toward the heart. And then we're going to find our comfortable position. So maybe the foot goes out longer, or maybe it comes closer into the bum. Nice. And then when you're ready, left leg is going to come long, flexing the toes back to the heart. We're going to push down through the right foot, and we're slowly going to lower the left foot. Nice. And then we're going to draw both feet in, so a little bit closer to the bum. And we're just going to do that thing we started with. We're just rocking gently back and forth, knees heading in to the left and then to the right, nice and gentle. And then we're going to come back to a little bit of stillness here and come into happy baby. So knees come to the side body. We can grab behind the knees, on top of the knees, the shins, the ankle, inner arches, outer arches. But the knees are coming to the side body rather than into the chest plate. And then always the option to roll back and forth is straighten one leg, straighten the other. Make your baby very happy. Nice. And then from here, we're going to draw the knees in and we're going to come into wind removing pose. So the back is going to stay firmly planted. Gaze is going to be straight up, so there's no tension on the neck. But we're going to draw the knees in. And if you can wrap around a little bit and draw the knees in. So now the top of the thighs is actually pushing into the diaphragm and into the chest. But we're going to focus on deep breaths. So about 3 rounds of breath here. And as we start to come out of this, just be mindful of where you want to go for Shavasana. Do you want something underneath your knees? Do you want to elevate your feet or something across your eyes? Deep, purposeful inhale here. And as we exhale, we're going to release the body down, maybe one leg at a time, coming into our Shavasana. And just take up as much space as possible. We have about 2 minutes, and I will sound the singing bowl. And just take this time. If you're ready to rejoin this really beautiful Thursday, bring a smile to your face and just let the rest of that energy come out through your body. We'll just, Nancy, you have the most adorable Shavasana companions. Susan, so she's laying down and both of the dogs thought that would be a great time to do Shavasana, but kind of more or less on her, it looked like. Very cute. So we'll do 3 breaths as a community. So find that really comfortable seat that works best for you. Hands can be down or up. And then deep, deep inhale. And then big release, just let it go. 2 more times, big inhale. Deep release. And then 1 more time. And then release. And then if you want, you can draw your thumbs to third eye. And just exchange one simple greeting. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste, ladies and pets. It is always a pleasure.
The dogs were so...
Yeah, they really want Shavasana.
The dogs were anxious because there's somebody out here cutting off a limb off one of my trees. So they were very anxious. So they had to come for security.
Oh, there you go.
These nice German Shepherds need a little security.
Well, you know, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. They're lovely. So I hope you guys have a marvelous day and it's so nice outside.
Take care.
Bye, you guys. Bye, Nancy. Bye, Susan.
Bye.